On this week's episode, we talk about some of the misconceptions about type 2 diabetes and the hormone that has over 1,000 positive genetic functions in our bodies. Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Lifestyle Construction Show. I'm Billy Weiss, the drug-free pharmacist, and I'm here today from beautiful Oahu, the north shore of Oahu at the Turtle Bay Resort. So we may be a little off schedule this week, but time changes and different things we have going on with all the activities. But we are here and hopefully you'll enjoy the beautiful background that we have with the ocean and the palm trees. Let's start off by addressing some of the comments that we seem to get from last week's question about what caused people to not stick with their lifestyle changes, whether they were diet or exercise or whatever the lifestyle changes they were trying to make. What caused them to fail or not to stick with it? And we kept getting an overriding theme that kind of life gets in the way, that there's busy things going on. It was too easy to grab something fast and easy. Some simple things that we talk about in our preparedness class is to make sure that we always have that emergency kit or that emergency bag with us with our good quality snacks like our high-fat protein bars, our nuts and seeds and nut butters and those things. Of course, we're excluding peanuts and peanut butter always. And also, how do we prepare for each and every day, the day before or the week before or the middle of the week before, so that we don't run into those situations? So that's a big part of what we address in the classes. Also, we talk about how it's a mental change, and once we can convince ourselves how important it is to us, that then the preparation time and the procedures that we will need to go through to avoid those types of situations where we need to pick up something fast or convenient or fast food lines or something out of a box bag or a can, which we're trying to avoid. We're going to address ways where the mindset will be that we just can't make that kind of decision, that we have to stick with the healthy things. Now this week we're going to start giving out a little more information that will be pertinent and to help people understand where we go in our lifestyle construction classes, and maybe help you understand or give you ideas to even send in more questions to us, which we would love to have from all of you. Your comments, questions are always welcome, because remember, this show is about you and you obtaining optimal health. Today we're going to talk about what's become a serious epidemic in the United States, and that is diabetes. Specifically today we'll be talking about type 2 diabetes, which makes up about 90% of all the diabetics here in America. Type 2 diabetes has grown tremendously since the 1970s and the 1980s, as we've seen more and more processed and fast foods introduced into our culture, and the fact that we don't seem to get as much exercise. Many people now work behind desks, and we've addressed some of these issues already. But today specifically, we're going to talk about type 2 diabetes. Today, 1 in 2 Americans either have diabetes diagnosed or have what is known as insulin resistance. And that's where the body is not recognizing the insulin efficiently and effectively. And many times we end up with high insulin levels and or high blood sugar levels. What I want to talk about today is some of the misconceptions that I see so many folks that talk to with diabetes, and see that they don't truly understand what's going on with type 2 diabetes. And it's probably not something that they've ever been taught. Type 2 diabetes is actually not a disease. It's not a condition of too little insulin. It's actually a condition of too much insulin in many cases, and or the fact that the body is resisting or not recognizing the insulin that is there. And therefore the insulin's not used properly, the blood sugars go up, and it starts to create a whole myriad of negative effects for that person's health. And by learning ways to help the body reduce the insulin resistance and be more efficient at using the insulin that the body is producing is the way that we can help folks reduce their medications, of course always under the advice of their physicians or their doctors. But we do have many people who have completely been taken completely off up to 16 prescription meds for diabetes and as many as 5 insulin shots a day, working again with their physician as they go through the lifestyle construction program. And I'm going to give you a few practical tips today of how we've been able to do that. And the reason that we know that this works is just years and years of research, and it's just the way that the body is designed to work. When we eat, the body should produce insulin to put the nutrients into the cell. So think of insulin as a key that unlocks the cell for nutrition, for the nutrients that go in. And when the body doesn't recognize that signal of insulin to unlock that door into the cell, it becomes a problem, and the body in many cases will try to make more insulin to fix this issue, which actually, unfortunately, usually creates more of the same problem and makes it actually worse. Pillar 1 in the lifestyle construction program, we talk a lot about what we eat and what we drink, but specifically today we want to talk about eating more quality fats. We've talked about what those are. Those things are what we're looking for to increase the fat intake. And when we increase the fat intake, we will decrease carbohydrate intake and the sugary intake that so many Americans are taking in. And when we're able to do this, it just makes the body much more efficient at using the insulin that's there, and the body will not need to produce as much insulin when we're eating more fat, good quality proteins, and less of the carbohydrates and sugary snacks. Let's end the type 2 diabetes discussion with something that may seem controversial, and remember that I am not a physician, I am a pharmacist, but I do want to say that the misconception that I often see is that type 2 diabetics think that they're doomed. They're destined to have to be maintained on meds and on insulin at some point if they're not already there for the rest of their lives. And I certainly can tell you again from experience that we've had many folks come through the program who are off all their meds and off all their insulins, working with their doctors, and their numbers are better than they ever were on the meds. Now, they have made lifestyle changes. They're following the 5 pillars of lifestyle construction, but there is hope at the end of the tunnel. I want to make sure you understand that, and that you understand that with the right choices and the right lifestyle choices, that this is a disease that can certainly, at least let's call it controllable. You can control this disease, and you can greatly improve your health if you're willing to do so. The week 8 tip of the week for the Lifestyle Construction Show, since we're in Oahu, I think this is very appropriate, is about vitamin D. Vitamin D is an essential, what is called or considered a vitamin. It's actually a hormone. So vitamin D is essential to about 1,000 positive functions in our body. So it's very important that we have adequate vitamin D levels. If you are not sure what your vitamin D level is, I certainly recommend that you ask your doctor to test your vitamin D level. It's called a 25-hydroxy vitamin D level. And once you know that level, we can certainly recommend the proper dosage of vitamin D supplement. And this time of year, it's summertime coming up in a lot of the areas. We can certainly get out in the sun will help. Our body makes vitamin D from the sun through our skin. So that's a great way to get it. But most people in America need to supplement with a great vitamin D quality supplement in order to get the amounts, to get our blood levels. We want to try to get at least a 40 to 60 blood level on our vitamin D. And if we're not there, we need to supplement to get there. So just remember that vitamin D has a lot of positive functions in the body. It is tremendous for diabetes, which we've been talking about today. And research shows that a lot of diabetics are going to be deficient in vitamin D. So it's certainly something that our diabetes folks we need to talk about with. It's also very important for our immune system and can be very important in our autoimmune diseases, which we've discussed in some of the previous episodes. So just for overall good health, it's great for our bones, our brains. I mean, we can go on and on. So lots of reasons that we want to have adequate vitamin D levels. So I hope the points that we've made today help you make some easy changes. Get your vitamin D level checked. Make sure you get a level of 40 to 60 through a good quality supplement and or being in the sun, especially if you're an office worker. And remember that type 2 diabetes is not some kind of doomsday diagnosis. I want to end this week's episode like usual by asking you to share us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can always visit BillyWeast.com as we're updating the website. Thanks.